My boyfriend showed up to my house randomly one day. I had just woken up and I got ready so fast in my room. Mom told him that he could wait in the living room. She ended up jumping in the shower. I went outside to the living room and we ended up going to his house. And I was there. My mom called me. She said that there was $350 on the table and that one $50 bill was missing. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but I had to find out the truth. So I told him to take me to Jack in the Box. We went through the drive-thru. I was so mad, but I had to keep it together. I knew that he only paid with 20s. He never paid with 50s. I ordered my food and I was waiting to see what bill he pulled out. And guess what, guys? It was a $50 bill. Then I looked at him and told him, don't pay with my mom's money. I grabbed my purse, pulled out a 20, and told him, pay with my money. His eyes just popped open. He knew he got caught. After I found out that he stole from my mom, I told him to pay with my money, right? And he just got very defensive. He started telling me that what was I talking about? He tried to play it dumb. And I told him, you know what I'm talking about. And he said that he didn't know. So I explained to him that $50 were missing. And he was just like, I would never do something like that. How could he say that? If you guys really need the money, then here you go. And he ended up handing me the money. And I was like, dude, just say the truth. Say that it was you. And he was just like, no, keep the money. And I kept that because that's my mom's money. She was supposed to pay one of her bills with that. And the reason why I didn't tell him on the spot when my mom called me was because I didn't want to accuse him and then him say that he didn't do it. I'd rather just see it myself and confirm it. Thanks to the drive-thru at Jack in the Box, I knew that this man was a thief and a liar.
Am I the asshole for not returning my bridesmaid's gift after the wedding was canceled? My friend Jessica, 28 female, was supposed to get married over the summer. She asked me and a few of our other friends to be her bridesmaids by giving us gift boxes. They were really nice. Well, Jessica's fiance got a call from her boyfriend and the wedding was called off. Neither one of them knew about each other. We were all just as blindsided as he was. Jessica recently contacted me to tell me that since the trip isn't happening, she wants the bridesmaid's gift back. When I told Jessica that I had assumed this stuff was a gift, so I'd already used some of it, she got really mad and said that I should have saved it for the trip and that I had to reimburse her for the price of all of the stuff.
What a tacky bitch.
Her and the maid of honor, her sister, are talking a lot of shit in the group chat that I'm stealing from Jessica. Am I the asshole?
So I was at this party last night with some friends, and this guy comes up to me and he says, "You're so beautiful, can I have your number?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Oh, playing hard to get." And I said, "No, I'm simply not interested in you." And he said, "Why can't you just be nice and give me your number?" And I said, "Why did I think of that? I changed my mind all of a sudden. Of course you can have my number. Let me put it in your phone for you." And he said, "Really?" I said, "Yes, but it might take a couple minutes because I'm a little drunk." And he said, "Take your time." Good thing I wasn't drunk because I was able to find his Venmo app right away. So I put my phone number in there and suddenly I'm $5,000 richer. And I'm wondering how on earth did that happen? Did I do that? Yes. I know I wasn't entitled to and he definitely would have said no, but I took it anyway. I guess I just can't seem to take no for an answer.
Usually when my clients arrive for their appointment, they're not wearing any makeup. But this girl wore makeup to the appointment just to have me take it off and then do her makeup again. I thought that was a little strange, but after I removed her makeup, I saw her nose. The tip of her nose was bright red and even a little bit deformed. It looked like a really bad sunburn. I tried to avoid the area when I started doing her makeup, but eventually I had to put makeup on her nose. And when I did, it was just not working. Her skin was literally peeling off. The makeup would not stay. So that's when I asked her, is there something going on with your nose that I should know about? Let me also just say that at this point, it was starting to swell and was noticeably more red than it was when she got there. That's when she told me that she had recently been out of the country for a mission trip and that she had picked up a flesh-eating bacteria, which had affected her nose. Then she told me not to worry because she had been on antibiotics for months, and that the irritation on her nose was just her skin healing. For once, I was horrified, not my client. A lot of people want to know what happened to all my makeup and brushes, so here's what happened to them. First of all, I don't want to give out too much of this lady's personal information or anything like that, but she was a nurse, So she was already treated for that bacteria. She'd been on antibiotics, so the bacteria was no longer like transferable. It wasn't going to get into any of my stuff, if that makes sense. The reason her nose was still red and swollen is because it was fresh new skin. It had eaten away some of her nose tissue, and so it was just regrowing. And when you have that new fresh skin, it's very sensitive and irritable. And I always use disposable applicators, so I get one, dip it in my makeup, put it on her face, and throw it away, and do that. It never goes from her face back into the makeup and then back onto her face. That's really helpful, especially whenever you have multiple clients back to back, like I usually did when I was doing makeup for photo shoots. With all that being said, I still threw away some of my brushes like that I use for face makeup and one of my beauty blenders because it like sucks everything up. I didn't want to make her feel bad, so I never told her that I threw anything away, and I did not charge her for it.
Story time on how a man followed me into my apartment and tried to harm me. Okay, so boom. I'm 19 years old and I've been living alone for the past year. It's just me and my pet dog, and every morning and night I walk my dog. A bad habit that I have is that since I live in a safe neighborhood, every time I go downstairs to walk my dog, I leave my door unlocked. I never thought that anyone was even watching me, to be honest. My thought process was like, since the door is closed, no one is going to actually think it's unlocked. But that wasn't very smart of me. One very scary night, my life changed. It was around 10 o'clock at night, and I did my usual routine and started walking my dog. I left my door unlocked and thought nothing of it, especially since around this time, no one is really outside. I went back upstairs to the 4th floor where I stay and opened my door, then walked inside and closed my door. But I didn't lock it just yet. I was taking off my dog's leash. Then all of a sudden, a 40-year-old man opened my door. Follow and like for part 2. Part 3 on how a man followed me into my apartment and tried to harm me. Okay, so boom, like I said, I walked to my room shaking as he was 10 steps behind me. I told my dog to heel because I didn't want this man to harm my dog either. As soon as I walked into my room, I took the GUN and shot him. The man fell to the ground and so did his weapon. I turned on the lights and shot him right in the stomach around here on his side. My neighbors all came out after the shot and we all called the cops. They got there pretty fast. And my boyfriend stayed with me for 3 months every day after that. They did an investigation and looked at the cameras. Turned out that he'd been stalking me the whole time. He knew my habits and planned to get me at the right time. Even if you feel alone, someone can be watching. I'm grateful for my boyfriend for leaving his weapon with me. He has like 3, but leaving one with me saved my life. Who knows what would have happened to me had I not shot this man. The shot missed his abdominal muscle, so he lived, but it's going to be a sad life. Like and follow for part 4 to find out what happened. Part 2 on how a man followed me into my apartment and tried to harm me. Okay, so boom, like I said, I was taking off my dog's leash, and because I left the door unlocked, a 40-year-old man just opened my door. At this point, I was at a distance from the door and closer to my bedroom. My dog started barking, and then I said, "Excuse me, what are you doing?" But I did say it in fear. Then the man took a step in my door and said, "I just want to talk." My door was still slightly open but more closed, and he was fully into my home at this point. He told me to go into my room and be quiet or else he would use his weapon. He had a GUN. I didn't want him to do anything to me, so I listened. But I had hope because I also had my boyfriend's GUN in my room. My boyfriend leaves it there so I can protect myself. I never thought I would have to use it, but I'm glad my boyfriend thought of my safety, regardless of what I said. I walked to my room shaking with him about 10 steps behind me. As soon as I walked in, I grabbed the GUN, turned around, and shot him. Like for
This is why you should never date multiple people at once. A story time, I guess. This story takes place when I was 17 or 16. Okay, no one cares. It was a long time ago. And girl, back in the day, I was getting played left, right, and center. Played like a game of football. I had a distinct taste for F-boys. And that was going on for some time until your girl said enough. Enough of this buffoonery. I'm not getting played by men any longer. And I am going to become a player myself. I know the logic is really off, but I was 17, so cut me some slack, okay? So my brilliant idea was, I'm just gonna talk to multiple guys, and I will figure out which one I like in the end. And I'm gonna date that one. Now in my mind, the plan was flawless. And they do always say, don't put your eggs in one basket. So I end up meeting a couple of guys, and I really like this one guy, but I decide I'm keeping my options open. Already posted part 2, so go watch it.
Story time about how I caught my mom hooking up with my guy best friend. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I was sending me on Instagram. My best friend and I have known each other for 7 years. Let's call him Mark. Mark and I met when we were in school, and we have been inseparable since then. Everyone's constantly telling us that we should date, but we're not into each other like that. Last year, my parents started fighting a lot because my dad found out that my mom cheated on him. And she cheated on him with my dad's best friend. My mom's the kind of woman that constantly seeks attention from men. And growing up, she weirdly competed with me. Like anytime I liked a boy, she would flirt with him in front of me. So yeah, my mom's not the best when it comes to stuff like that. So when my dad found out that my mom was cheating on him, I basically just wanted to keep the peace. And I convinced my dad to not get a divorce. Huge mistake. Fast forward to 2 months ago. Mark was just about to turn 20, so I had been planning a birthday party for him. Because of COVID, I was only inviting our immediate family and close friends. And of course, my mom had to interject and wanted to help me plan everything. I told her several times I didn't need her help, but she insisted. Let me just say this, before any of this happened, it never occurred to me that my mom was even attracted to Mark. I saw him as like a brother to me, so I assumed that she would see him the same way. My mom and dad kept arguing every single day. Mark would come over and he would just let me vent to him. The day of Mark's birthday party is when I started noticing some weird things. My mom, of course, had to drink a lot of champagne, so she was getting a little tipsy. She insisted on dancing with Mark and like making this big scene, so they started dancing. More people joined the dance floor and it became like a real party. A few hours later, I see my mom and Mark sitting on the couch, but my mom is crying her eyeballs out, complaining about my dad, and Mark is just there listening to her. I mean, she's putting him in a weird position. I literally had to peel my mom off of Mark and take her home and put her into bed. Thankfully, Mark just thought it was funny, so he didn't get upset. A few weeks later, I come home and find Mark in the kitchen with my mom. Once again, my mom is drinking and complaining about my dad. And once again, Mark is just listening to her. But here's the thing. My mom was standing there in a bikini, supposedly ready to get in the pool. Part 2 is So my mom is standing there in a bikini trying to seduce my guy best friend. Disclaimers is not my story time. I sent me on Instagram. I asked my mom nicely to go put on some clothes and she refused. So I grabbed Mark's hand and told him to come upstairs with me. I asked him what was going on between him and my mom and he said nothing. And he even said that I was ridiculous for even suggesting something like that. And I believed him, so I let it go. A few days later, my mom is dressed up all sexy in a red tight dress, supposedly making breakfast for my dad and I. But my dad had already left for work, and I was going to school, so she knew that. I had the feeling that she had Mark coming over and she didn't want me to know. So I got in my car and told her I was leaving for school. Instead, I waited around the corner and I saw Mark driving up to the house. I waited for about 10 minutes and then I quietly pulled into the driveway and opened the door. And what do you know? My mom is sitting on the countertop making out with my guy best friend. And they were going at it. Like if I hadn't gotten there, it would have happened, you know? I slammed the door and my mom jumps off the counter. Mark pretends that nothing's wrong and tells me that he has to go to school. But of course, I didn't let him leave. That's when my mom told me that they were in love. And what do you know? Mark confirmed it. That's when my mom basically begged me not to tell my dad anything and that her and Mark were going to continue seeing each other. I told my mom I'd keep the secret, but instead, I drove straight to my dad's job and told him everything. He went straight to his lawyer and filed for divorce. When he confronted her, my mom basically said that I was lying and that I had for some reason made everything up. Mark, on the other hand, is totally in love with her, but she's telling him to leave her alone. So she also broke his heart. He doesn't even want to go back to school, and he's begging me to get my mom and him back together. I told him that that would never happen because my mom is never going to leave my dad. My dad makes a lot of money, and she has no job. He provides her a lifestyle that Mark could never. Now, here's the thing. My mom's accusing me of being a terrible daughter for telling my dad. But how could I not tell my dad? I mean, am I the asshole here? I doubt it, but what do you guys think? What should I do?
Okay, story time how I got my face tatted in an African household at the age of 18. Okay, so I've been planning on getting one since I was 16 years old. And I just turned 18, bitch. What a better time to do it than now. Honestly, one day I was just sitting there and I was like, I'm gonna get this shit tomorrow. And I got it the next day. The pain level was like a 2 out of 10. I was actually gonna get it a little bit higher, but I was like, I don't know about all that. I was just a little scared. So I was like, you know what? Just leave it right there. The only people that know about it is my mom and my little brother. Me and my mom made an agreement. We were like, bitch, we're not gonna tell that. We're not gonna tell my dad. But if he finds out, I don't think he's gonna do anything because he didn't like when I got piercings either. And I have several piercings all over my body. I can't cover it with makeup because it's brand new, so I have to wait a couple weeks. So when I do go around my dad, I kind of just like cover it with my hair, or I just act like I'm scratching my eye. He's definitely gonna be mad when he finds out. But the plan is to never let him find out. So some people are gonna watch this video and probably snitch on me because y'all love to sabotage your bitch. So go ahead and do that. I started matching my dad's energy a long time ago. He met his match, so go ahead.